I feel like people sometimes get so caught up in what could have been, what it should have been, and what it can be that we get lost to what it is right now. And because of that, we don't get to appreciate what we have right now. We don't appreciate how it's affecting us right now and how valuable it is right now. And sometimes we get more blinded by the illusion of tomorrow than appreciate the gift of today. And I just don't mean that in like the things that you have materially, like the material things, right? I'm also talking about the people that you have in your life. And it can be applied to anything that you see and feel in life. And it's something that I think people undervalue. People undervalue the things that they have right now because they think that it can be better in the future, that it should have been better in the past. And maybe, just maybe, yes, to some degree, yes, it could have been better, but that could have been better from the past is not something that you can control. That's not something that you have any control over. It's not something that you can change, right? And what it can be in the future is something that you don't have a control over as well, right? You can plan it, yes, but that doesn't mean that it will go your plan, that it will go according to how you planned it, that it will get better compared to the past. What you can control now is what you have right now, what you have in this moment, what's in the now. And I know this may sound absurd when I say that you shouldn't worry about your future. And I don't mean that like negatively, that you shouldn't care about your future, right? I mean that in a way wherein you shouldn't worry about your future in a degree to the point of you shouldn't get caught up in it. You shouldn't focus on the future for now. And I don't mean that not to plan your future, right? And I don't want to get misunderstood into that point. And I mean that in a way wherein, yes, you're concerned about your future. I mean, everyone is, right? Everyone does worry about their future. Yes, of course, we want great future, right? But as close as tomorrow is in our hands, it's something that we cannot reach, right? It's something that we cannot see. It's something that we cannot reach. No matter how close it is, no matter how you think you're one step away from it, it will always go away from you. It will always be a step away from you. And I'm not saying, as I've said, that you shouldn't completely care about your future. I mean, the things that we do right now will affect our future, right? So it's all aligned and interconnected to what we do right now. And that's why I'm pointing out more what you should value more is what you have right now, what you have right now in your life. And I don't want to sound like, a motivational speaker of some sort, because I'm not. As I've said time and time again, I'm just a guy with some thoughts who wants to share the things that I realize, the things that I have observed, right? And I think I'm not speaking only for myself when I say that. Thinking about the future to the point wherein it rob you from the happiness that you could feel, that you should feel in the moment, that you should feel in the present, is something that a lot of people struggle. They struggle about it, they struggle on it because it's robbing our joy from us thinking about the future, thinking about something that we can't control, right? Because for me personally, no matter how much you plan for your future, no matter how much you prepare for it, there's always that niche, there's always that something, that little aspect of your plan that will not go according to your plan. It will not go according to how you planned it, how you envisioned it. So, though I'm not saying, of course, not to plan, right? That's so far away from what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the plan that you have for the future is something that will become your present to some point, to a point in time, right? It will become your present as well. So why not value the things the feelings, the things that you have right now as something that you should treat as invaluable, that you should treat as something that will not be, replaced by anything. You should value it to the degree, to the point of you not wanting to exchange it for anything. And as I've said earlier, we get so blinded by the delusion of the future that we don't get to see what's in the present. And I don't mean it to sound, like, as I've said, not to plan your future, but because I feel like a lot of people don't get to appreciate the joy of the process of taking those dreams, to grabbing those dreams, because they focus on the end goal of it, right? They focus on accomplishing this mission that they set into, this dream of theirs, right? And I'm not saying that end goal will not be joyful, that it will not be, that you will not feel triumphant. Of course you will feel that way, right? When you're in that end goal, when you reach that end goal. But the point is, your journey should be as valuable as your destination. And sometimes the people that we meet along the way, the things that we'll realize along the way of that journey, are the things that are more valuable, are the things that will make the end goal much more valuable, much more triumphant. You will feel more triumphant because of those things that are in between those journeys, that are in between the journey that you took to get to where you want to be. And it's just something that I thought that maybe like people are oblivious to, because I feel like we get so blinded by our own dreams that we don't get to appreciate the things that we have right now. Like, have you ever reflected, like, to the point wherein you realize that what you have right now is something, or the things that you have right now are the things that you've dreamed of like years ago? Have you ever thought of that? Have you ever reflected and thought and realized and appreciate that the things that you have right now are the things that you dreamed of years ago? The things that you have right now are the things that you planned to have from the past. And I know there are things that we know that could have gone better, the things that could have gone better for us, for other people as well. But, the more that we dwell in the past, the more we dwell in the past is the more we leave pieces of ourselves in the past. And I just don't mean that in a way we're in pieces of yourself that are part of you, like part of what makes you who you are. And I just don't mean that in a way when I'm talking about your character, right? The emotions, a piece of you. And I think that's also like one of the ways you can rob like the joy of it, the joy of achieving things. And I don't know, it's just that people don't actually realize how they can lose pieces of themselves from the past, pieces of themselves that get stuck in the past, that because of the what could have been, what it should have been, right? And yes, I get that, sometimes it's hard to accept the things that you could have done better, right? It should have been better than that. And the things that you'll realize now, you wish that you could have realized when you were in that moment in time, from that past or in that past, right? And I mean, it's not something that we have a control over with, right? It's not something that we can change because it happened already. What we can do is avoid that from happening again. And how we do that is by reflecting on those things that we realize that we did in the past, and using that in the present, using that in the things that we have right now in life. And as I've said time and time again, the future itself shouldn't, shouldn't shape your character. The version of yourself that you see in the future isn't you. What do I mean by that? It's not something that, the personality or the you that you see in the future is not you yourself. What do I mean by that? That's so confusing, right? But that version of yourself is your ideal self. The ideal self that you wish to achieve, that you wish that you could be in the future, right? And that's great. However, the only way for you to be that version of you is focus in the present. Focus on what you can do in the present to be that person that you see in the future. And I know that may sound trivial, that may sound absurd, that may sound like that it doesn't make sense, but I think if you reflect for just a little bit, there are times wherein we imagine ourselves in different situations, right? And the version of ourselves that did something different compared to our actual self that did it differently, right? And that's our ideal self that we wish we are, that we wish we were. And that ideal self will be projected in the future that we see, or that we want to have, right? And I think we overvalue that kind of thing. We overvalue that version of ourselves. And I don't mean it to say it, or in a way wherein I'm saying that you shouldn't be better. No. That you shouldn't strive for that. No, I'm also not saying that. It's because when we see ourselves, when we see that ideal self that we have a picture in our mind, I think we forget that while it is not ourselves yet, that we're not that person yet, we just have to work on what you have right now. You have to make sure that version of you will come to reality by focusing on the now, right? And I don't know, because you'll never be that person. Why do I mean by that? You'll never be that person in that point in time because it's in the future. You don't actually see it. You will never see it. And I don't know, I may got all over the place in this thought, but the only time for you that you'll see that version of yourself is in the now, right? That ideal self will always be something that you'll never reach because it's something that in the future, that's in your mind, that it's a version that you imagined for yourself, about yourself, that's in the future. And I'm not saying that you'll never get there. What I'm saying is for you to be there is to be in that present. Make that ideal self your present, right? I don't know if I made sense or I'm just blubbering some barnacles. I don't know if I'm making sense at all. I don't know. It's just that because I get that, the illusion of the future is so blindingly absurd to us that we get blinded in the present, that we get so blinded for what we have right now, that we don't value the things that we have at the moment, that we undervalue them and just see them as something that could have been better and that it can be better. And I think that's what robbing our joy from the things that we do. Not fully accepting and enjoying the things for the way they are right now. and always changing that ideal thing for the future, right? And I think the thing that's that the thing that's only constant in the world is change, right? Things will change, and I don't know, it's just something that I want to talk about, and I hope I made sense in some way. I don't know. I think I was all over the place in this video on this topic as well. I don't know if I made sense or if you got my point. I hope you did. And you can also hate on this one if it didn't make sense. I would totally understand that, because that's just how I process the thoughts that I have personally. And I don't know, you can agree or disagree with my take as well. Just let me know what you think about it. And I guess that's about it. Stay awesome.